Hello everyone. Welcome back to Tap Journal. At the height of his influence, a single individual controlled 80% of the global cocaine market and orchestrated the deaths of thousands to preserve his criminal empire. This narrative explores how a petty car thief transformed into the world's most hunted man, eventually building a private luxury prison to dictate terms to a sovereign nation. The following investigation details the strategic rise and violent collapse of the Medellin cartel through a meticulous examination of official records and tactical reports. The origins of this criminal enterprise trace back to the late 1960s in the department of Antioquia, Colombia. According to regional police archives in Medellin, a young man named Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria began his career not in narcotics, but in petty street crime and contraband smuggling. Intelligence reports from the Departamento Administrativo de Seguridad, known as DAS, indicate that he initially specialized in stealing gravestones to resell them and coordinating sophisticated car theft rings. These early operations allowed him to build a network of loyal associates and learn the logistical complexities of moving illicit goods across borders. By the mid-1970s, he recognized the immense profit margins offered by the emerging cocaine trade and shifted his focus entirely to drug trafficking. The formation of the Medellin cartel was a strategic consolidation of various trafficking families under a single operational umbrella. Based on historical DEA files, this organization revolutionized the drug trade by utilizing large-scale aviation instead of small-scale human couriers. They purchased retired commercial aircraft and established a relay system through the Bahamas, specifically using Norman's Cay as a refueling station. Forensic accounting records recovered after the cartel's fall suggest that at its peak, the organization was smuggling 15 tons of cocaine into the United States every single day. This volume of trade generated an estimated $60 million in daily profit, necessitating an infrastructure that was more akin to a multinational corporation than a street gang. To manage this unprecedented wealth, the organization invested heavily in legitimate assets and private estates. One of the most prominent examples was Hacienda Nápoles, a sprawling estate located in Puerto Triunfo. According to local land registry records and surveillance logs from the Colombian National Police, the property featured a private zoo, an airport, and a collection of vintage automobiles. This estate served as a tactical headquarters where high-level meetings between cartel leaders like Jorge Luis Ochoa and Carlos Leder took place. The ostentatious display of wealth was not merely for luxury, but functioned as a tool for local recruitment and political influence within the region. The transition from a purely criminal entity to a political force began in the early 1980s. In 1982, records from the Colombian Congressional Archives show that Escobar was elected as a substitute member of the Chamber of Representatives. He utilized a populist platform, building housing projects and soccer fields for the poor in Medellin to cultivate a shield of civilian loyalty. However, this political career was short-lived as Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla began investigating the source of his wealth. According to Ministry of Justice reports, Lara Bonilla publicly exposed Escobar's criminal background, leading to the trafficker's expulsion from Congress and igniting a decades-long war against the state. The retaliation for this political humiliation was swift and brutal. On April 30th, 1984, two motorcycle assassins acting on cartel orders killed Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla in Bogotá. This event, as documented in Colombian National Police incident reports, marked a turning point in the nation's history. The government immediately ratified an extradition treaty with the United States, which became the cartel's primary fear. In response, the traffickers formed a group known as Los Extraditables, adopting the slogan that they preferred a grave in Colombia to a cell in the United States. This group launched a systematic campaign of assassinations, targeting judges, journalists, and police officers who supported extradition. The violence escalated to an international level during the late 1980s. On November 27, 1989, Avianca Flight 203 exploded mid-air over Soacha, killing all 107 people on board. Civil aviation investigation records and FBI forensic analysis confirmed that a suitcase bomb had been planted to target presidential candidate Cesar Gaviria, who was not actually on the flight. Just weeks later, a massive truck bomb was detonated outside the DAS headquarters in Bogotá, killing 63 people and injuring hundreds. Forensic reports from the scene described a crater several meters deep, illustrating the cartel's access to high-grade explosives and their willingness to engage in acts of domestic terrorism. Faced with an increasingly unstable nation, the Colombian government entered into negotiations with the cartel leader. According to presidential office communications from the administration of Cesar Gaviria, a deal was struck in 1991 where the trafficker would surrender in exchange for a promise of non-extradition. He was permitted to build his own prison, known as La Catedral, on a hill overlooking Medellin. Internal prison logs and subsequent military inspections revealed that the facility was not a place of incarceration, but a fortress of luxury. It featured a soccer field, a bar, and a jacuzzi, while the guards were handpicked by the inmate himself to ensure total control over the perimeter. While supposedly imprisoned, the cartel leader continued to manage his global operations with impunity. According to testimonies from former cartel associates provided to the Attorney General's office, he summoned two high-ranking members, Gerardo Moncada and Fernando Galeano, to La Catedral under the suspicion that they were stealing profits. Both men were murdered within the prison walls, and their bodies were disposed of outside the facility. This internal purge proved to be a tactical error, as it alienated many of his allies and forced the Colombian government to take action. When the military attempted to transfer him to a standard prison in July 1992, he simply walked out of the back of the facility and disappeared into the mountains. The subsequent manhunt was one of the largest in human history, involving the Search Block, a specialized unit of the Colombian National Police. Intelligence dossiers indicate that the Search Block was assisted by U.S. agencies, including the DEA and the CIA, which provided sophisticated electronic surveillance equipment. During this period, a paramilitary group known as Los Pepes, or People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar, emerged. Based on police intelligence reports, Los Pepes conducted a shadow war against the cartel, assassinating its lawyers, family members, and financial managers. This pincer movement between legal authorities and illegal vigilantes systematically dismantled the cartel's infrastructure and forced the fugitive into a state of isolation. By late 1993, the most powerful drug lord in history was reduced to hiding in middle-class safe houses with only a single bodyguard. According to radio intercept logs from the Search Block, technicians tracked a series of long phone calls he made to his family on December 2, 1993. This technical data allowed the police to pinpoint his location to a house in the Los Olivos neighborhood of Medellin. When the Search Block breached the property, the fugitive attempted to escape across the rooftops of adjacent houses. Official police autopsy and ballistic reports confirmed that he was struck by 3 bullets, with the fatal shot entering his ear, ending his life at the age of 44. The death of the Medellin cartel leader did not end the drug trade, but it fundamentally changed the landscape of international organized crime. According to historical analysis from the Colombian Ministry of Defense, his downfall led to the rise of the Cali cartel, which favored a more discreet and corporate approach to trafficking. The era of the king of cocaine remains a dark chapter in history, characterized by a level of narco-terrorism that nearly toppled a democratic government and left a legacy of trauma that the nation continues to address through judicial and social reforms. Maybe that is all the mystery we can investigate this time, and do not forget to click subscribe and like this channel so you do not miss other crime mysteries. See you in in the next unsolved case.